Tiger Woods. What he's done on the golf course is, well, we've never seen anything like it. We'll never see anything like it again. His behavior off the course, that's completely different topic. I'm not even going to go into that. But I think it was somewhere in like '08 or '09 at Torrey Pines golf course, Tiger had a knee injury that was like terrible. That was like literally he was swinging his club and like he was in excruciating pain and you could like see it. And he takes this one shot and he's standing on the cart path and his leg like slips as he's swinging, and it like you can tell like Tiger's in a lot of pain. And so his caddy is like, and this is like Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday, Tiger is way behind. And if you don't know golf, the tournaments start on Thursday and then they play 4 rounds of golf till Sunday. And then the winner after 4 rounds of golf wins the entire thing. So Tiger's really far behind and he has a lot of golf to play. And so his caddy's like, listen, there's going to be more tournaments. Like, if you don't quit now, like, there's no reason to continue here. Like, let's get healthy. Let's come back. And Tiger looks at him and goes, F you, Scotty, I'm winning this tournament. And then he comes from behind and wins this tournament in one of the greatest golf tournaments of all time. And here's kind of like what I got from that. One, I think it's very inspiring, and I don't encourage profanity. But what I feel like you're seeing here is the resolve of Tiger Woods of like, I'm winning this tournament, so I'm just going to continue despite this injury and despite this pain and despite these challenges and despite being down by a lot. And when he wins the tournament, the first person he hugs is his caddy, Scotty, right? And that is like I feel like that illustrates the tension where when his caddy was telling him to quit, he could have just had this really terrible attitude of like, dude, I'm doing this without you, like, I'll carry the bag myself. Like, just don't talk. Like, I'm going to continue on to this. I don't think that's what he was communicating when he was saying, like, F you to him. I think he was saying, like, no, like, what the reasons you just gave me, like, don't matter to me. Like, we're going forward and I'm going to lead us, whether you're coming or not. But I don't think it was this, like, I'm leaving you behind. And then he illustrates that, like, once he wins and, like, he's celebrating the win with his caddy, even though his caddy was one of the voices saying, like, you shouldn't be playing golf right now. And I love that as an illustration because I think that illustrates the tension of, like, how you can bring people along with you even though they might not, like, believe in what it is that you're doing or believe in your abilities to be able to do it. Is like, I'm not saying, like, to cuss anybody out, but I think that was just, like, his, like, succinct, like, no, I'm continuing. This doesn't have to be a long conversation. We don't need to talk about this. Like, I'm going to I hit this golf shot off of the cart path, and now I'm going to walk up to the next one and take my next shot, and that's the end of it. And then he's still celebrating at the end. And I think we can bring those people with us who don't believe in us, don't believe in our abilities, and we can celebrate along the way with them, even if they don't, like, think it's the best idea. But it's not this, like, I hate you, screw you, I'll see you at the winner's podium, but you're not going to be standing here with me, like, type of thing. So I don't know, that story just, like, came up of I think that's, just a good illustration. So
it makes me think about, so in story writing and script writing, there's, the 3-act structure, and the reason it's so good is because it's modeled after how real life problems are solved. Step 1, the problem presents itself. We're trying to figure it out. And then act 2, the beginning of it is you're learning, you're figuring things out, you're having some success, some failures. And then in the middle of act 2 is called the ordeal by some people. And it's when everything is the worst, right? That's the moment in every Pixar movie where you're crying, everything goes south and you're like, it's over. We're never going to do this. And the reason that this is such a good model for every story and because that's how it is in our life, because you reach that point in every challenge and the act 3 moment is like this a quote from your main character who says, no, we're going to finish this. And it's that moment where the main character has to decide, I'm going to do this. And it's not that someone else, it's not this needs to be done. It's I'm going to overcome this. And that's the turning point, is they hit the rock bottom and then they choose to not give up. And then it becomes act 3, where they take all of the stuff they learned and then they take the piece they learned from when it all crashed apart, and then they use that to solve the problem in act 3. And then you get the amazing overcome moment where they win in the end, or however it works out. And that makes me think of like your Tiger Woods story, is he was in that things are going well, things are failing, and then this moment of absolute worst. And I imagine in his head, he is having all these pressures, all those thoughts. Probably the exact words that his caddy was saying is, you know what, I could just be done. There's more tournaments. And I think for him, that was that moment where his caddy walks up and says, maybe we should be done. And I feel like he wasn't, I mean, this is all in my brain here, not reality, but I imagine that him telling his caddy to F off was not actually telling his caddy that, but that was him materializing and verbalizing his feelings of, I'm choosing to tell this idea to give up, that no, we're not going to give up. And it was that like this option of you could give up and come back later. And he's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then that was like,
it was like the option presented itself in the physical
moment,
world,
right?
Like what was already going on in his head. Now he has this open door, and it's like what you're saying is like, he just said, nope.
Right. And it was that like, it was probably building up in his brain of like, do I continue? Do I not? I need to keep going. And then someone like brought it. And then in that moment, he was like, no, we're going to do this. And then after he like said that, it was like set in stone, right? That he's like, okay, now we're actually going to do this. And we're not going to like think about this anymore. The decision's been made. Cause yeah, I think about that a lot in just in life, of that moment of like that deciding because when you watch a movie or read a book and that moment comes and it goes, everything's defeated. What are we going to do? Are we going to turn this around? And the main character doesn't have a strong, you know what? No, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going. And something else happens to that. It's not that driving, let's do this. Let's solve the problem. We are the main characters. We're going to do this. You walk away and you're like, why didn't that feel like a good movie? That was poor plot. It didn't feel right. And it's because that's how it happens in real life. In real life, when you're down and defeated, it doesn't, sometimes it magically fixes itself. But when that happens, it's not satisfying, right? And so when you watch it in a movie and it just like somebody else comes in is like, oh, no, you stay defeated. I'll take care of everything. You just go home. It's fine. And then you walk away from that and you're like, that was not inspiring. But
yeah, I think that's a really good point too, in that I started the podcast with that quote of like, oh no, I can't remember it. Starting is fun, but the future belongs to finishers. People who finish are the ones who not even, I don't think like in storytelling, like in movies and in books and stuff, like there's usually that one like epic moment that is like, am I going to quit or am I not going to quit? And it's really just like one decision. And it's like quit, not quit. And those who not quit finish, like they achieve what they're going to achieve. In real life, that option is sometimes there's those really big moments and those intense moments. I think like with the Tiger Woods story, and I think like there's some moments in my life where I was like, that was a huge moment where I decided to keep going or I quit. And I think the dramatic ones are few and far between, but I think every day when, especially like when you're talking about like fitness or like starting your own business or like those things that like alter your day-to-day life, every single day, like you've heard me say this, my team has heard me say this, like these past 3.5 years have been the hardest 3.5 years of my life. Like every day I come up against that option of like, should I continue this or not? And every single time there's only two options. It's either keep going or quit. And this is like where, again, it's really fun to be a Christ follower, is because with Christ, there's always like, he will take care of the solution. Like he is providing, he is making a way, he is making our path straight, as scripture tells us. So really the option isn't like, how am I going to figure all of this out? It's, am I going to put one step in front of the other? Am I going to quit or am I not going to quit? And every time that we choose not to quit in a God-given task, there's always a way that is made forward. And I just want to talk to maybe whoever might be listening to this, in that like it might feel a lot more dramatic than it is, or there might be a lot more like things that you need to figure out. But at the end of the day, it's, are you going to keep putting one foot in front of the other? Are you going to go out the door that says like, okay, here's where the dream dies, or are you going to continue? And I also want to say this, that failure is not the same thing as quitting. Quitting is a choice. Failure is a choice that kills the dream. When you decide to quit, it's very, very, very hard to come back. Very hard to come back. But when you fail, say like, again, going back to fitness, say like you start going to the gym, you go for a week, you miss a day, like that is, you failed, okay? You failed in your diet, you failed in going to the gym. That doesn't mean you quit. Maybe you don't go the next day. Okay, you failed at going. But in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking like, okay, but I'm going to go tomorrow. The next day, you do not go to the gym. You failed again. Okay, say it goes on for the next year. Okay, you failed to go from February to December. And then January comes along and you say, I want to get in better shape, and you go to the gym. You never quit. You didn't quit. You just failed time and time and time and time and time again. It probably pushed back your fitness journey, like prolonged it, but you did not quit. What quitting looks like is, I'm always going to be this way. There's no changing, so there's no point in going to the gym. And I think for a lot of us, you might feel like you quit, but maybe in reality, you've just been failing. And you've been failing, and you've been failing, and you've been failing, and that's made the decision to continue going harder. But in reality, like, you're on your journey, but you're just sitting down. But you haven't left the path yet. You're just sitting down. You're like, I don't know, like, I can't move on with this. I can't put one foot in front of the other. But you have yet to leave the storyline. There is a difference. And so if you're listening to this and like you have never made that full, like, I am quitting on this dream, or I am quitting on my calling, or I'm quitting on this fitness journey, you can still continue to put one step in front of the other. And what it's going to take is that resolve that says, I'm going. Like, I want this so badly. I believe in this so badly that I need this, that I'm going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I believe, like, God loves that. He's faithful to that. Like, he empowers that. But don't confuse failing and quitting. And, you know, with God, there's nothing is impossible. So even if you're listening to this and you're like, I did quit. Like, I just straight up walked away. I killed that dream. I killed that relationship. I killed that thing. I said, it's not real. Like, it's going to take a lot of prayer. It's going to take a lot of healing. It's going to take a lot of, like, coming back to what are my convictions and what is my resolve. But it's not impossible. Like, I believe, like, it's death and resurrection. If you did quit, there's still hope for you. If you are just failing right now, just keep going. That was a lot, but
that's good. But yeah, I'll just add one more thing. I think when you're in those moments and you're failing a lot,